Hello and welcome to the Week 2 video review for Understanding Language, Learning and Teaching. We're halfway through the course and what's happening is, although most of the activity this week has been in the discussions in Week 2, there are still people joining all the time and gradually catching up, working through Week 1 still. There are others who've moved ahead a bit and are already looking at the materials and discussing the ideas in the Week 3 and 4 materials. That's fine. The course is set up so that you can work through it at your own pace. However, please note that if you do stick to the sort of official timetable, that's where most of the activity is in the discussions, and that's a very valuable part of the course, we believe. It's where a lot of the learning happens, because we only put a few ideas out there in the materials as starting points for discussion, but you can really develop your understanding by engaging with the comments that other participants have written. And the midpoint seems a good time to remind you also that if you want a certificate of achievement when you complete the course, and if you want unlimited access to the materials after the end of the course, you do need to upgrade. So don't forget that. Right, so this week the topics are mostly around classroom learning and teaching. We started the week by asking you to tell us a bit about your teaching context and describe your classrooms. We've had responses from people teaching in all sorts of contexts, from working at home with one learner at a time, to teaching online, to teaching in classrooms which range from nice cosy little rooms very well equipped to cold community centres or classes full of 60 learners. So fascinating to hear all your different contexts, and of course, because our contexts are also different, the ideas that we put out there and the ideas that others bring to the discussions won't all work for everybody. But they're there for you to take what is relevant to you and to adapt to meet your needs. We did ask you to upload pictures of your classrooms as well, and I must apologise for the fact that we've only just realised that Padlet wall where you're to upload your photos to has not been working, so we'll try to get that fixed as soon as I can. On step 2.2, that's about communities of practice, seeing the classroom as a community. Claudia has posted a comment there which has developed into a nice little discussion of peer support and peer feedback. I think that's a very powerful idea, so check that out if you haven't seen it. On step 2.4, Martin's described how he sees his role as a teacher, what he sees as the most important aspects of his role as a teacher. And that is, he sees it as being to do with really caring for the whole student, the well-being of the student, not just their learning, and connecting with people, forming relationships. So again, I suppose that links to the idea of community as well. A powerful thought. I wonder if any of you agree with that or have anything to add to that. In the section about task-based learning and teaching, I've pinned two comments, both by Joanna, but very different ones. In one, she shares a really good example of a task that she's used with a class. I love it when you share practical examples that you've actually implemented. Joanna's isn't the only example, so thanks to all of you for that. Those sort of posts always get really positive reactions from other participants on the course, I guess because they're things that you can immediately take away and try out yourselves. But in Joanna's other comment on the same step, on 2.8, she actually points out that task-based learning isn't always the most appropriate thing. Certain learners in certain contexts may not respond so well to it, and Joanna's reminding us that it can be important to make sure that there is some structured grammar teaching in there as well, although not necessarily that you need to teach that in a traditional way. Joanna suggests using songs to make grammar teaching interesting, and that then has led to a few further comments about the use of songs, which I think is quite interesting. I think there are lots of ways that we could bring in popular culture and different media into the classroom to engage the learners and keep them interesting. So if you have anything to add to that, or if you missed it earlier in the week and you want to pop back and see it, that's on step 2.8. And the other main topic this week was content and language integrated learning. Something that's maybe a little less familiar to some people, but as we can see from the comments, something that a lot of you do have experience of as either teachers or learners. A lot of the opinions expressed about CLIL have been about whether it's too challenging for learners at certain levels, whether it's effective from the point of view of the learners. I've actually pinned a comment by Sean on step 2.12 because, in contrast to many of the other comments, Sean looks at it from the point of view of the teacher and the challenges that the teacher faces in trying to teach content and language. He has experience, short-lived experience, he says, of working with another teacher. So I wonder if anybody else has done that, where there is actually a language teacher and a subject expert working together in the classroom so that you can each take responsibility for the aspects of the lesson that you have expertise in. It seems like an ideal way of working, but obviously has its challenges. So it would be great if anyone has anything to add to that. And finally, in the reflections on step 2.15, Annika reminds us that the devil is in the detail. Some of these ideas sound good in theory, but when you try to implement, things don't always go so smoothly. So, I mean, and that comes back to what we've said before. Everyone's different. All your teaching contexts are very different. So you'll need to consider who your learners are, what their expectations and needs are, and adapt the ideas, pick and mix to find what works best for you. So that sums up what I've seen of the discussions in week 2. Apologies if I've missed any really good ones. It is hard to keep up with you all in the limited time that we have. Week 3 next week is about technology, and in particular about online teaching and learning. That should be of interest to all of us, seeing as we've all signed up for a Future Learn course, so we're all involved in online teaching and learning already. Some of you also have experience of teaching languages online, and some of you have expressed an interest into getting into online teaching, so it'll be great to share ideas and experiences next week, and I look forward to more discussions as the week progresses. Bye for now.